Are you ready to make more money doing what you love this year? Well, the Dream Bigger Mastermind is for you. We're talking real results like going from $2,000 months to $8,000 months, landing promotions to C-suite roles, working with dream clients, and so much more. Doors are now officially open and spaces are limited. We're starting February 25th, so apply today, and let's make 2025 your most abundant and aligned year yet. Link in the show notes. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Breathe More. Very exciting episode. I have my dear client, Lucy, who's been on the podcast before. I wanted her to come back because it has been a year since we started working together. And Lucy is like the perfect example of what happens when you say yes to yourself, to your goals, to your expansion. And there's a lot of very tangible examples that I want to highlight that Lucy has overcome and also still continuing to work on because now she has new goals. And I thought it might be fun as well if in this episode, it's something that I've been wanting to do this year on Breathe More, is doing a live coaching. So we'll get to that as well. And also just wanted to let y'all know it's really windy in Idlewild. So if you hear crazy noises, that's what's going on. I know a lot of us in California are experiencing really crazy weather. So just wanted to also disclose that. But Lucy, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me back, Anna.
All right, so let's talk about who you are, what do you do, and yeah, we'll start with that and then we'll jump in.
Cool. I am a massage therapist, a myofascial release, and Reiki practitioner. When we started working together, I was living in Joshua Tree and loving it there and having a hard time financially. And since working with you, I have gotten that under control and also moved to San Diego and started my practice again.
So I think Lucy, we first met in December of 23 because I hired her to be the body worker for a VIP client in Joshua Tree. And I shared this in our first episode that we did together, but I was shocked at how low her prices were because she came to the house and my client loved her experience. I think it was a 90-minute or maybe even 2-hour bodywork healing session. And I just planted the seed for her. I'm like, hey, I think you should really think about, I didn't know her at the time. This is me, the customer. I think you should think about raising your prices. Here's some extra money, a little tip. And then to my surprise, around this time last year, Lucy reached out because she was interested in learning more about Dream Bigger Mastermind, and she actually decided to join it. So Lucy is currently right now in the second round of Dream Bigger Mastermind. And then in between in the summer of last year, she also did the Soulful Entrepreneur Mentorship. What is amazing about all of the growth and transformation, I was just looking at my notes before hopping on this call, Lucy, and my notes are from last year at this time. Last year at this time, as you said, you were living in Joshua Tree. Like your body was in physical pain. You were really struggling financially. And you had all these like money stories, guilt around charging, wanting to be of service, feeling really uncomfortable about raising your prices, even though the way that you had your business set up at the time was completely unsustainable. And there were some other things where you're like, I hate social media, just like typical of what I think a lot of soulful entrepreneurs, like we just want to do the work. We just want to be of service. We want to help people. But when it comes to actually running it as a business, like that's a specific skill. And so one of the things that I have helped Lucy along the whole year is around that, is to help her not just like the strategy. I always tell people that's a super easy thing, like telling you how to change your copy, your website so that it attracts your ideal client, talking about email marketing, just like the technology of that, like that is super easy. The hard thing is actually you doing those changes. And so what blocks people from making those changes is the mindset, is all the beliefs. It's the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, the guilt, like all of the mind drama. And this is not to judge it. This is completely normal. I've gone through it as well. I have to continue to upgrade my beliefs in order to continue achieving my goals. And so that's what we worked on at the beginning with Lucy. It's like really looking at facts as well. It's like, okay, you have this story right now that you're telling yourself, I can't raise my prices because now my community, and this is at the time in Joshua Tree, won't be able to afford my prices. Yet at the same time, she also had a sliding scale or like a price point for those who couldn't pay the full price. And so when I asked her, what percentage of your customers take advantage of that? It was like 0%. Do you remember that? So when I reflected that back to you, what did you think?
I think it was, I mean, it's been tremendously helpful the whole year to have you to like, yeah, fact check all of the things that I think I have to do. And yeah, that was one where it was like, okay, nobody uses the sliding scale. And like 90% of my clients tip more than 20%, like are already doing the same thing that you had done, paying me more. And so it was like, no, like raise it, they can do it. They want to do it. They're like already offering it to me, like raising my price just guarantees that I can do this work sustainably. And I think that was like absolutely one of the biggest mindsets shifts of like, no, when I'm in pain, I'm like cannot give as good of a service and like cannot show up the way that I want to show up, and like raising my price in a sustainable way like makes it so that I can be taken care of as well and show up so much better in my work. And I just like I think about that all the time now of like I'm so much happier and like able to like just be really happy and joyous at work and feel grateful for it instead of like constantly crunching the numbers and thinking about like how many more I need to be doing and all of that. So yeah, thank you for that.
Of course. Yeah. And as simple as this may sound, I have found that it really takes an outside person to reflect that to you because we're so in our life, we're so in our problems. A lot of you might be so in the survival mode. And so you really don't have the capacity to think about things in a different way, to pull back and look at numbers or just like really pay attention to what is happening versus what you think is happening, given that your mind is creating these stories. And so that's why for me personally, like I have always worked with someone, and that's why I created the Dream Bigger Mastermind group program as well, because if you knew how to get the results that you want, you would already have them, right? So if you don't have them right now, then there's a reason why. There's some gaps there. There's something that you're not seeing, some blind spots. And so that was the very first thing that Lucy and we worked on, which was raising her prices. And as she said, like her clients were already paying her more because they were recognizing you're undercharging me, girl. Like, here, take care of yourself. So once we got that, we worked her pricing, things changed. Do you remember like before working together, how much on average you were bringing in a month?
It was just really inconsistent. So in general, I always think about it weekly, but in general, it was like 500 of my own business, like at average. And then, you know, some weeks higher, some weeks definitely lower.
Right.
And then as we worked together, it was consistently around 2,000 a week, which was
Oh my, wait, what? I had no idea that these were the
yeah,
numbers.
which is why I did a second round of mastermind.
Yeah, we got to repeat this. Okay. Lucy started when she started working with me. And before she joined Dream Bigger Mastermind, she was making $500 a week. And shortly after joining Mastermind, she started making on average $2,000 a week. Talk about a return on your investment. Y'all, like Dream Bigger Mastermind is only $4,000, a little under, for the 6 months of coaching. And we'll get more into the details maybe later on a different episode. But also I want to highlight not just like the jump in income that she made, but someone who's making $500 a week, $2,000 a month with living expenses, with unexpected stuff. To invest in a program that costs $4,000, that's a fucking stretch, right? Was that a point of pause for you?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It was like,
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy for you to do.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it was helpful to have our like call before joining. And you were like, okay, the reality is if you raise your prices and you do just like this many more massages, you'll be able to afford this program. And I was like, just something in my gut that was like, you just have to do it. It's just everything
Yeah.
that you were like posting on your Instagram. I was like, it feels directed specifically at me.
Mm, I love
And
that.
yeah, yeah. So definitely a daunting thing, but still worth it.
Yeah. So for those of you thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't afford this program, like there's no way. Lucy is the perfect example where on paper, yeah, she probably couldn't. But I don't know if you use credit cards or anything. I am also very generous with my payment plan, so that also makes it accessible. But again, it's always math, right? If that's one of your goals and I'm changing the focus, not the focus. I mean, I feel like I tend to just attract people like Lucy, like soulful entrepreneurs, healers, or people who are looking to leave their toxic job and go to a job, even if it's another corporate job that's more aligned. Like those are the people that tend to come to Dream Bigger Mastermind. So that's like the language that I'm now using. Anyways, the point being is if you are looking to make more money in whatever it is that you're doing, but right now where you're at, it's like, I don't have that money. Your mind is going to tell you, no, we can't do that. But let's hop on a call so that we can do some math. And so I can let you know, like, I'm not here to waste your time either, your money. Like, either you're going to be a fit and I will feel very confident that I can help you achieve that goal, or you're not. And so Lucy was one of those. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such an easy fix. Like, literally, as she just said, we'll just raise it like $20 or whatever it is. And that extra $300 is going to be your payment plan for Mastermind. So that is incredible. Do you remember how quickly you got those results?
I would have to look. I think, but I honestly, it was shockingly quick because
Yeah.
I think it was in at least the first 2 months because then we started in February. By May, I was like, I think I can afford to move to San Diego.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So here's another thing that makes Lucy so unique. So we got her to have a thriving, profitable business in bodywork in Joshua Tree. If you don't know where Joshua Tree, it's a very small desert town near Palm Springs. A lot of people go for the national park. And her bigger goal personal goal was to move to San Diego. And I looked at my notes as well, where you said, I want to move by the summer, but I'm going to be moving to a more expensive city. And I just don't even know how I'm going to do that. So how beautiful that she got her business to be profitable, to be making like the most amount of money that she ever has made. And you would think like, okay, I got a roll, like I have all these referrals, like things are feeling easy in my business. Anyone else would just continue riding that wave, right? And Lucy's like, let's switch things up. I'm going to shut down my business in Joshua Tree and I'm going to move to a more expensive city and build my business from scratch. Do you think if you had support, you would have made that move?
No, no way. I think you had just helped build up so much confidence in myself of like seeing like, okay, we did that in a really short amount of time, made it profitable, that I was like, I'm so much better at all of the business stuff, like my Instagram and all of like my website, all of that felt so much more set up and like streamlined that I was like, I know that it's crazy, but I can do it again. Like the move is gonna make me personally so much happier. Like I have you and I have like
Yeah,
all of these skills
exactly.
that like let's just do it.
I love that. So that also is the thing with Mastermind where like, yeah, we're working on mindset, we're working on reprogramming beliefs, but also there's a framework. So whatever it is that you are looking to create, you can replicate it, whether it's a soulful business or just continuing to up level your life. It's like there's a process that we go through. And so the first few months we go through deep healing. And so there was a lot of that money stories that we had to change, right? And so like this, just a couple of weeks ago, I had a money coach come to teach them how to get control of their credit card debt. And there's been other coaches that I also bring on so that they can share their resources with them. but you are learning a lot of tools so that you can, whatever next change you want, you can do it. So yes, Lucy took the leap and then we just started from scratch and you move so quickly. It's amazing. One of the things that I think is helpful to have when making such a big change is to have not just me, but like community, right? We were all like there to reflect back to you, like trust your intuition. I'm remembering when you were visiting places to open up your own massage, what is it called? Treatment room, right? And so you were pressured on time. You're like, I need to just get it up and going. And it's very easy for us to fall into scarcity or just feel like I just have to take this. I have no choice. And when you have the support from other folks, like to tell you, no, there's a lot of red flags that you just shared. Your intuition is saying, I don't think this is going to be a big, like a good fix. Let me hold off and trust that something that is aligned will happen. And so that exactly happened to you. Can you share a little bit more about that process and how it was for you?
Yeah, that's a good, I did feel like, okay, I felt really good before the move. And then obviously you're doing it of like, why did I just choose to make my life so much harder? And I was looking
Yeah.
for spaces and yeah, there was one that I thought was going to be perfect. Like I could walk to it from the house I'm living in. And yeah, and then I remember hopping on the call with all of you and like, there's like this, and this. We're like, do not take that space.
No, do
Like,
not sign anything, walk away.
yeah, yeah. And it was great. Like, I feel like I've been very fortunate of timing just has moved quickly. But then within that next week, I looked at the space that I'm in that I'm absolutely in love with. And like the community that's there is so supportive and wonderful that I just would not have had. And yeah, so it's there's saying like a whole group of people to bounce ideas off of and reflect.
Yeah. Yeah. So since then, update us on where you are. So Lucy joined the fall mastermind as well. We started the second round, like she went straight into the next one. So she's currently in another group. Tell us what your goal is for this year.
My big goal for the year is to make 6 figures.
Y'all, can
you
you
hear me?
believe it? When she shared that
Oh,
with our
okay.
group, I can hear you. I was like, oh my gosh, another breakthrough. We went from Lucy a year ago making 32,000 a year to now calling in 6 figures. And okay, so I love that. Before we jump into that and how we got to that goal, tell us where your business is now and give us the breakdown. So you moved to San Diego in May, you said? No, June?
In June, I moved away from Joshua Tree and did some travel stuff. And then in July, I landed in San Diego.
And where's your business now? Like, are you back to where you were with Joshua Tree? Are you still growing it? What's going on?
Still growing it, but I am not all the way back to where I was in Joshua Tree, averaging like 1,000 to 50 a week. But I have within these 6 months gotten to the point where I can work just 1 day to 2 days a week for a different person, which my goal is to not do that at all. So that's been great. I think also has moved really quickly considering how many more massage therapists there are here.
Yeah, that's a really great point, right? So now she just moved to a city where there's a lot of competition, where, Lucy she's a healer. Like it's not your typical massage where you go and they actually hurt your body more. Like she is intuitive. She really helps your body heal and release whatever you're holding. So she takes you on a journey, and that's really rare. But unfortunately, a lot of people I don't think there's still that type of awareness of how different massages and body work can be. And so to her point, like she's now competing with the $60 massages, right? Which makes it so much harder. And she has had to, although I do want you to raise your prices. I was just looking at your prices again. I'm like, you can raise them at least $20 for each service. She has lowered her price point since she moved in San Diego because she wanted to be a little bit more competitive. So there's a lot of reasons, right, why you haven't gotten to that point. And I'm saying all of this as well because this is all the coaching that we also need. to tell ourselves when we're like, oh my gosh, did I make a mistake? I was making so much more money and I walked away and now I'm making less. Like, right? It's like, no, okay, these are again the facts. This is why right now we're making less money. But on the flip side, we're working less for someone else. Like we're taking home most of this money. So there's different ways to navigate that. So we don't go into the self-sabotage and self-doubt, and also change our frequency to attract our clients. Okay, now jumping to the current goal, which we're going to be working on. So with making six figures, that's a different model, right? Because it sounds like you've been kind of capped if we're using Joshua Tree. First, just like mindset wise, let's drop in and start to do some coaching around this. Sit back, close eyes, take some deep breaths in and out. So we just went through the journey over the last year of you growing your business, shutting it down, starting a new business, growing it again, and being in a place that right now, like there's obviously still room for growth, but it feels very aligned. You have free time to live life. You're working on personal goals now as well. And so feeling really proud and feeling anchoring as you're breathing, that safety in your body of like, yeah, I did that. Wow, I'm so proud of myself. Something that I never thought was possible. Like I accomplished it. And so now I am in a place where I'm ready to challenge myself again. So this year, the goal is to make $100,000. As you say that to yourself, Lucy, what comes up in your body? Was there any contraction? Was it still open and excited? Were there any thoughts that came through?
I think it just makes me laugh. Like,
And what does the laughter represent? I feel like for you, laughter is nervousness.
I think that it is my goal. But I think part of me is like, that's outrageous, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's the feeling of like,
So let's follow that. So what about it is outrageous? I mean, you at one point were already bringing in $8,000 a month. That's not that far off.
mm-hmm.
So let's shine light on that limitation, on that fear. So what about it feels outrageous or impossible?
It's like something that like just, I think I never imagined for myself. We've talked about this a lot of me just like dismissing money and not wanting to have anything to do with it. And actually one time you asked, my homework was, who deserves money? I thought about that question like nonstop every day because I was like, I couldn't, like everybody. And your whole thing was, well, then why don't you? And I think that for me was like a big shift of just like, why can't I encompass myself in this belief that everybody deserves to be taken care of, you know, and like live at a happy, comfortable level.
Okay, let's do some math so that your brain can start to. So you already know what it's like to make $8,000 a month. And how true does that feel that you can replicate that again, that you'll get back up to that?
That feels doable.
Great. So 12 months of $8,000 is $96,000. So that means you just have to make an extra $4,000 to make $100,000. I love math, guys. Okay, so how doable is it to make an extra $4,000?
Normally, I would say feels like a reach, but I know that you're going to break it down further and make it doable.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things here, right? First of all, if we're just talking about your current offer suite, I think that is going to be a stretch. That means you're going to be working a lot more.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to raise your prices a lot more, which let's start by at least raising them $20. No one's going to push back on $20. So when I'm thinking like, okay, how can Lucy make an extra $4,000? And this suggestion, I know I have mentioned it to you and there's been some hesitation, but I wonder if we can attract a handful of like VIP clients, like concierge, where I have some of those. And I go to their house and I do the breathwork healing coaching session. Some people really love that. But I'm discerning on who gets that, right? They're also paying a premium. So that could be a way where maybe you attract some wealthy millionaires in the area and you have like 4 spots available and it's a retainer. Maybe it's a retainer, maybe it's per visit. But if you're charging, let's just say $500 for like an hour. Maybe they want a 2-hour. Let's say you're getting like $750 for that session. That's easily going to get you up to $4,000, right? When you hear me say that, what comes through?
Again, I'm grateful for you to have these visions that I would never think of. And I think when I think of paying, like, I'm just like, I would never pay that for,
Sure.
an hour or 2 hours, but I would love to be paid that.
Yeah. But that's why I said
Yeah.
a millionaire, right? I'll be completely transparent. I have had clients who pay me $1,500 for a private session where I go into their house. They're billionaires. They don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
it's a convenience for them, right? You're saving them money actually by you going to them. So they understand that there's a premium price to be paid. Can I afford to pay someone $1,500 to go, like for them to come to me? Not right now. But I also have paid a lot of money in coaching and all of that for results that I don't think what I meant. So again, I'm so glad that this came up for you because this is another big block that I see so many people struggle with, where we project our own money stories, beliefs, or current financial situation onto other people. I do it as well. Like I still catch myself. We prejudge, and that's not fair because we don't know, no matter what they do for a job. Like they can be a school teacher, but still value your work or figure out how to call in that money because they want to learn from you. And so, sure, Lucy right now wouldn't pay that to have someone work on her body. But we are not talking about Lucy. We're talking about other people who already hire a bunch of people. They have their trainer that comes to their house. They probably have, like I have a friend, client, who has someone to blow out her hair at her house. I don't know how much the service costs. But right, there's a level of people, that's what they're used to. And so that's a market that you could tap into. And you get to decide who that is. And it might even come in conversation with some of your current clients. Obviously, we want to tap into the wealthier community. So something to think about. Okay, let's continue to move energy on this. Is there any other hesitations? Is there any nervousness about going to a stranger's house, like safety, anything around that?
Yeah, I was doing mobiles in Joshua Tree, and that felt safe, like just because it was a small community. I knew most people, or if they're an Airbnb, like a certain type of person goes there, I felt safe around. And then when I moved to San Diego, I was like, oh my gosh, like no way. There's just so many more people. I don't know the area. I don't know as many people. I don't like want to deal with traffic or parking places, like all of this other stuff. I'm thinking of this like VIP client. I'm like, okay, well, I want it to be a woman and like,
Exactly.
yeah, and still have some like safeguards around it. But I think there has been some hesitation for me around doing mobiles out here.
And those concerns are valid, right? Like, yeah, as a female practitioner, like it can be sketchy to go into someone's home and not know what to expect. However, there's things that we can do so that we can vet them, we can interview them. Like you can have a process in place where you can meet them before and decide whether or not it would be a good fit. And the other thing is that you can do a test for the first one. And then if you're like, you know what, I didn't really vibe with them or whatever, then you can make that decision of saying you're no longer available. So that's just one idea, right? That seems like an easy way to make more than $4,000 extra a month. The other thing, we've talked about doing distant healings, right? So something where it's also easier for your body. And so I feel like once you start promoting that and see what type of response you get we can even open it up to like group sessions or something like that, right? So just thinking about having more people in one session, which will help you make more money per hour. You already have the membership that you started, which is great. And then we've been talking about as well, just kind of planting some seeds of like future, maybe not this year, end of this year, maybe into next year, but thinking more about like scaling, right? So that might mean that you offer a course, like you are a myofascial release therapist, right? So maybe there's like a mini course or a self-guided course that you do around that. Maybe it's a live training or not necessarily training, but like live program that you teach on that. We're going to have to start thinking about what's something that isn't just one-on-one, but rather you can support multiple people, or maybe it's even something that you sell a product where you don't have to be there live. That's going to take you into the multiple six figures.
Woo!
Yes. Okay. Any other resistance around the six-figure goal? What's coming through? So those of you who don't know how I hold space, I feel like I don't talk about this enough, but when I get feedback as well, like energy or thoughts that my client's energy or soul is communicating to me. So one of the things that I'm feeling right now is still working on feeling deserving of this. Because I think that there's still deeply ingrained programming that life is supposed to be hard. And if it's easy, it's scary. And wait, am I cheating? What is going on? I'm going to get caught. Like, this can't be true. Like, something's going to go wrong. Like, this isn't sustainable. Does that ring true?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it has to be hard for it to be real.
A lot more than is even like possible or feasible to reach that goal. And then also, okay, so let's just stay with that. So with that belief, does a certain age come up or a certain moment in your life come up? I know you've talked about your grandma in Mastermind, about her having a very strong belief that life is supposed to be hard for your family, right? Do you think there's anyone else that reinforced that belief, or is it just mainly her?
Yeah, multiple people, but I would say, yeah, my mom being one of them.
And this is her mom?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought that we were dirt poor my whole life, like just because that was my mom's mindset, like big scarcity mindset. Everything, we only shopped on sale. Like, like it was just money was so tightly enforced.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like years later, I found out how much my dad made, and I was just like in shock. I was like, no way. And I think that my mom just like her nervous system could never relax. Like I think that she just had that mindset that like she couldn't believe that they had made it to the level that they had, and like always preparing for it to go away.
Right.
And so, yeah, that has been like deeply ingrained in me of like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard always. Like nothing is guaranteed. It's like big scarcity mindset.
Right. So this is really important to highlight because you can reach your goals, but that doesn't mean you're able to hold them. So I have seen within my clients where they achieve their goal, they manifest it, whether it's the partner that they were looking for, the new job, or thriving business, and then they'll start to behave and do things that makes it go away. So the other thing, the other piece, like the final piece that we work on in Mastermind is increasing your capacity to hold your goals, to hold your desires, to hold your dreams. And Lucy just touched on it. This is a nervous system thing because we can logically or consciously say, yeah, I want to make more money. Like I want to make 100 grand. But if in your body, if in your nervous system, if in your mind, having that much money feels scary, feels threatening, feels, for some people, it even feels dangerous. Either you're not going to achieve it or it's going to go away. Like a big expense is going to come, or your patterns of spending is just going to make it disappear. Like it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're still always going to be at zero, let's just say. So it's important to also work on regulating yourself and feeling safe and deserving to hold it. So let's do a little breathing around that. So inviting you to sit back, close your eyes, take some gentle breaths in and out. And as you're breathing, I want you to connect with a younger self, the part of you that thought, man, we're poor. We're always struggling. And you're going to show up present you as a big sister. And you're actually going to explain the reality. You're going to let her know mom's family, like they come from a life, a world where, yeah, so much of the reality has been struggle. There's a lot of trauma there. And perhaps there has been poverty. But even though mom is telling us that things are a certain way, it actually isn't. We have more than enough. And what my goal is for us, you and me, to have a lot of money. Because money's a tool. It's a tool for us to do the things that we love, to get that new car, to have that dreamy apartment, to travel, to have money for when an unexpected expense happens, to have money for when we're older and we don't have to worry about things. The cool thing is that we're actually making money doing something that we really love. We're helping people heal their body. We're educating them. We're giving them relief. That's how we're making money. Isn't that cool? And so my goal is for us to make even more of that this year. So another way to view it is we're going to work with that many more people. And it's going to feel so good. We're going to work with more people, but still have plenty of time off to rest and heal our body. So that we can show up feeling energized and strong and excited to be there. And as you're painting this picture for your younger self, just imagine her little body relaxing and starting to connect with the excitement. Connecting with that possibility, and maybe she even has some ideas on how she wants to be a part of it. And we're going to let her. And then the last piece is like, yeah, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to achieve this goal, and that's okay. We have a group, we have Anna, we have the other members of Mastermind that are there to encourage us, help us. And more than anything, trust in myself that I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to try things, and maybe some of them aren't going to work out, and then others will. And then we'll just continue doing more of that. All right, now taking 3 deep breaths in through your nose. Slow, long exhale out. Deep breath in. Slow, long exhale out. And one more. And out. And taking your time to slowly, gently come out. How are you feeling now?
Little Lucy.
Is she on board now? Does she understand?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Did anything come through in that connection that you want to share with us?
Oh, it's just so cute. Like little me just like loves to dance so much. And it was like the image was like, yeah, her listening to the words you're saying and like slowly relaxing and like dancing around. And then the last image was I was like deathly afraid of the dark and like had such trouble sleeping. The last image was like her just like sleeping peacefully in bed.
Oh, I love that.
Like so
Oh,
tender.
baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you so much. Ugh.
Of course. So this is the work, y'all. Simple, right? I absolutely love doing this. Lucy, again, is like the perfect example of how She didn't let the fear, she didn't let her current circumstances stop her from dreaming. She listened to that nudge within her, even though on paper it seemed impossible to do. And she's been showing up consistently for the last year for herself, for her dreams, for her business to accomplish it. And as much as I love Lucy and I think she's incredible, I also want to say this is not unique to her. This is accessible to you. And so if Lucy's story resonates with you, reach out, join this next round of Dream Bigger Mastermind. We are starting the last week of February, and the groups are intimate so that everybody has enough time to share every week anything that they need support with. I'm very hands-on as a coach, so Lucy sends me almost every week like emails that she wants me to look at to make sure it's on point that she's sending to her clients. I look at her copy. I give her feedback on social media. I call her out when she's not posting, like what's going on. We're constantly strategizing while also doing the healing work so that she can accomplish the goals. So I can't wait for the next round of Mastermind. Lucy, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your story. And I can't wait to have you reach your goal of 100K this year.
Thank you so much, Anna. I'm so grateful for you.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. Remember to keep breathing, and we'll be back real soon. Bye.